Hey everybody, it's JJ Conway. I want to welcome you to the last 10 minutes of 2021's first day. If you're in the central time zone like I am, you got 10 minutes left of the first day of the first year after coronavirus. Well, that's not really true. Never mind. I was trying to be cute, but let me just tell you what God told me yesterday. God told me yesterday that 2021 is not going to be better than 2020 for most of you watching this unless you take some serious action. And I know that you're glad to start a new year and leave 2020 in the past, right? We're forgetting the past and pressing forward, right? But I was really kind of surprised when the Lord told me that this new year is not going to be any better than 2020. But you know what? Before I tell you why the Spirit would tell me such a thing, let me do a quick wrap up of 2020. All right. See, 2020 started off pretty rough for me. This is even before coronavirus. Many of y'all will remember the passing of my father at the end of 2019. And I saw, not only did I have to deal with that loss, right? Because he was always supporting me with my business endeavors, but I saw a side of some family members that really gut punched me. Okay. And so um, for me, spending November and December, getting him laid to rest, helping my sister with his affairs, I put pause on my business. And even though things worked out well, and even though my countdown to your best year ever and the self-image rising, all of that got shifted to the beginning of 2020, it worked out well because it ended right before COVID, but I didn't know the world was going to shut down, just like you didn't know the world was going to shut down. Let me tell you something interesting. Every single person who went through both of those courses with me, they increased their standing in 2020. They accomplished all of their 2020 goals. I hit almost all of my goals, even the financial one. I've got covered up with my finger there. Y'all seen the picture of this on my Facebook page, right? It got all splattered when we moved because I threw everything off my bathroom and into a bag, and I didn't realize the iodine or whatever that stuff was going to spill. But I hit that financial goal, y'all. Um, in November, the month that I retired from the military, I had no active duty pay or military retirement paycheck. I hit the number on this messed up sticky note that's been on my mirror all year. If you'd have told me 10 years ago that I could achieve those financial goals during a pandemic when I was so busy fighting those false accusations in 2019 that I couldn't even build my business before going on terminal leave, I would have laughed at you, but it happened. And I now realize the power of visualizing, really visualizing what you want and desiring it deep enough to make it happen. So other goals on the list, and then I'm gonna get to my title here. But I just want to put my money where my mouth is. People say a whole lot of stuff. I know a whole lot of speakers that I know personally, and they're trying to teach you how to do something they haven't even done yet. Like I even rang one of my friends, like, wait a second, you're running this group, but you're not making that kind of money. So let me just go through the rest of the goals on the list. All right. Full-time mom enabled by public speaking coaching and online courses. Check. Cohesive family unit. Check. Pre-pregnancy health restored. Well, I'm about 15 pounds off, but if you follow me on Facebook or social media, you'll see how much weight I've lost this year. In fact, this week was the first week my belly didn't feel like it was in the way during my workouts, during my weights or my yoga or my Camp Gladiator. All right. So what I'm doing is working. And so I didn't hit every single goal, but I got pretty close, y'all. And I'm looking good too. I'm not quite back to where I was before my pregnancy, but my husband is not complaining. Okay. And so what I'm doing is, and what you got to do in 2021 is I'm prioritizing myself. Now, I'm not putting myself before God. I'm not kicking my family to the curb, but I made a commitment to myself and to my dream that I was going to give me some priority in my life. And I think it's made me a better wife, mom, and even pastor. So now let me tell you why God told me 2021 wasn't going to be any better than 2020 for most of you. Now, if you listen carefully to my review of 2020, you'll note that for me and many in my circle, 2020 was not the worst year of our lives. It was one of our most productive years, most impactful years, most significant years. And so many people I see posting about 2021 being full of a hope and this amazing. Guess what? They have not changed the thinking that brought them to where they were in the first place. See, Einstein said we can't solve our problems with the same thinking that created them. And the reason many of us have already failed, day one is almost over. We got 4 minutes left of day one. Day one's almost over. The reason many of us have already failed our New Year's resolution before we even got through the day is that we are trying to willpower and muscle ourselves through with the same level of thinking that we've been having all this time. The same pattern of thinking that's left us feeling like victims for this coronavirus. The same pattern of thinking that's left us overweight. The same pattern of thinking that made it hard for us to put the past behind us and overcome trauma or transmute that trauma into something useful. The same pattern of thinking that's caused us to fear ever getting hurt again. And so we miss out on a whole lot of life. Now, look, I don't know if COVID is going to go away or if this mutation is going to be worse or if the vaccine really is going to turn us all into zombies, right? I can't predict that. I don't even know what I'm having for lunch tomorrow, y'all. I can't predict whether or not there's going to be another pandemic, but I can tell you one thing. Every 10 to 12 years of my lifetime, there's been a huge shakeup of the world that we live in. The stock market crash of 87, September 11, the tech bubble burst of 2002, the housing and market crash of 2008. The list goes on and on. So stuff is going to happen. But one thing the most successful people know is that you can prepare yourself for the stuff of life by staying prayed up, focused, and surrounded with people of excellence who will push you to take better care of your health, your wealth, and your spiritual growth. That's how you make 2021 better than 2020. You put yourself in a position for abundance no matter what is going on in the world around you. It's possible. I know because I've done it this year and so have countless others. Y'all, yesterday was the most amazing New Year's Eve ever for me. My hubs and I went to town shopping, all giggly like earlier in our marriage. We came home and had family movie night, and it began to snow. It was the most snow anybody around here has seen in a long time. Now, look, y'all can have the snow. The only reason I put up with the South is because it's warm, right? But I had so much fun watching my boys build a snowman, having snowball fights, bond with my husband, and then we had a wonderful family meal and movie night, and we closed out the year with some good old-fashioned preaching. It was like a perfect heavenly day for our family and a great way to say goodbye to 2020 and hello 2021. And while we were watching church, two things happened that made me realize that this really was the Lord speaking to me about how 2020 is not going to be better for most of y'all than 2021 unless you take some action, all right? Bishop Jay encouraged us that if we will make up our minds, we won't have to wrestle anymore. And he said the reason we're struggling is because we won't make up our mind for God. Now, I might add, we will also not make up our mind for ourselves. See, God doesn't need any more wishy-washy folks. He can't use us that way. He can't use us the way he can use somebody with a made-up mind and a definiteness of purpose. And then we turned that church on as they were finishing. So then we turned on Pastor Grayson and he admonished us, hey, it's time to stop making excuses. We won't make the same excuses next year if we will really hold on to Jesus. But if we keep making the same excuses, we'll have the same struggles. And my family's sitting there like, I'm trying to be encouraged. But when he said that, I knew it was the Spirit speaking to me earlier that for most people in this world, they think 2021 is going to be better. We got this vaccine. We got this. We got that. We got a handle on this. We got a handle on that. They think that 2021 is going to be better, but they haven't changed their thinking. 2021 won't be any better for them. But you can make your 2021 better. You can make your 2021 better. Now, in closing, I want to leave you with an essay. Now, I'm not sure who wrote it, but it was shared with me by one of my mentors, Mark Cole. Imagine you were born in 1900, okay? So for a lot of us, our grandparents were born around this time, right? On your 14th birthday, World War I starts, and it ends on your 18th birthday. 22 million people perish in that war. Later on, the Spanish flu epidemic comes in, and it goes until your 20th birthday. 50 million people die. 50 million people die. Then when you turn 29, like you're in the prime of life, right? The Great Depression hits. Unemployment hits 25%. The world GDP drops to 27%. And that lasts until you 33 years old. Can you imagine growing up with all of this? Right? The country nearly collapses, y'all, with the world economy. And then you think you're in the clear because things are starting to pick up. But by the time you turn 39, now we got World War II. You're not even over the hill yet. And you've dealt with 2 world wars, a major pandemic, and a major depression. Then the United States gets fully pulled into World War II. 75 million people die by the time you turn 45. At 50, Korean War, 5 more million. At 55, Vietnam War. That's a 20-year war. 4 million people die. When you turn 62, you got the Cuban Missile Crisis. Think about the Cold War. How many of us grew up running under our desks, right? Look, life on our planet as we know it should have ended over and over and over again. In my lifetime, in your lifetime, in our parents' lifetime, and our grandparents' lifetime. All right? Think of everyone. Think of everybody who had to endure all that. And then it's funny because what he said when he gave all these stats, he said, who else was a kid in 85 and you didn't think your parents or your grandparents understood how hard school was? Ooh, and I was like, yeah, I sure didn't think my parents understood anything. Like they had a charmed life, right? Now look, they survived. And we're going to survive. Even though 2021 won't be any better for most people in this world than it has been the last 10 years of their lives for the reasons we already talked about, all right? You have the power to take this year by the horns and make it something amazing. I want to thank you for watching with me as we close out our first day of 2021. Thank you for being a part of my journey. May God bless you richly as you walk in abundance.